Hey guys, it's Jaclyn, and today I have a face mask on. I thought I could do a new type of video series where I do like a face mask and I sit down with a nice cup of tea and in my PJs and we can just have a nice little chat. So for the first video, I wanted to talk a little bit about college and university, post-secondary, high school, all that type of stuff. I know when I was in high school, I never wanted to think about it or talk about it or think about what I was going to do in university or what I was going to do after university. I just found it very stressful and very overwhelming. So I thought I would make a video where I could just talk about it and maybe you guys get some advice from it or just at least start thinking about it, because it's really important that you do. I know that's the most annoying thing to hear, trust me, but it is important to think about it. So I hope that you can take me seriously with this face mask on. I don't even know if I can at this point, but in case you were wondering, the face mask that I'm using is Cup of Coffee from Lush, and this just smells like coffee, and I'm quite enjoying the fragrance of it right now, honestly. So let's get into what I want to talk about. So I think I'm just going to hop right into it and tell you guys a little bit about my high school experience and how I actually ended up graduating a year early. If you're new to my channel or if you just don't know, I did graduate high school a year early. I graduated high school when I was 16, so when I was in my year 11. Normally here in Canada you graduate in grade 12, but it's also not uncommon to graduate in your year 13 or your victory lap year. That's common as well. So I actually ended up graduating when I was in grade 11. I did all my grade 12 courses though, and I did graduate and complete high school. I just finished it a bit early. So basically how I did that, it was never something that I planned to do. I never went into high school thinking I want to graduate in my grade 11 year kind of thing. It just kind of ended up happening and it just kind of ended up working out. So when I was in grade 8, I actually started taking an online course. The reason that I kind of found out about it and the reason that I wanted to take it was because my older brother, who was a year older than me, was in grade 9 and he was taking civics and careers online, I believe. And I think when my brother signed up for the course, he read somewhere that it was also available to grade 8s going into grade 9. So it was the summer between grade 8 and grade 9, so I was just about to go into high school. So I just kind of thought, what the heck, I might as well just take the course. My brother's going to be doing it anyway, so he can help me if I find it really challenging, but I might as well be done an extra course, so that way if I find the workload really overwhelming in high school, at least I'll have a spare or one less course I have to worry about kind of thing. So I ended up taking it, and I think summer school was a month long, but I was lucky because I chose online school, so I just had to wake up Monday to Friday and sign into my computer and just complete a little assignment or watch a lesson or a video kind of thing. I mean, I found it pretty easy and I did it with my brother, so it wasn't that big of a deal. So it didn't take too long, and eventually I was done the course and I was understanding it well, and I found it pretty easy. I didn't find it too challenging, so I was glad that I took it. So that year I started in grade 9 and I enjoyed my classes and I got to meet a bunch of friends. I was really lucky that I had a pretty good high school experience. I love the social aspect of high school, even though I didn't really enjoy the classes too much. I was lucky to be surrounded with a bunch of great friends and great people. So that was good in that sense. At the same time though, I found that I wasn't too challenged with all the courses. There was definitely moments where I struggled or was overwhelmed with homework and stuff like that. But for the most part, I found that I had a lot of spare time, and I don't know, I just felt I could be doing more. So I ended up going to my guidance counselor and looking into more online courses and stuff like that. So I ended up taking, I think, maybe one more. Wait, no. Did I take that throughout the year? I can't even remember now. It's all a blur. I think at the end of my grade 9 year, I ended up taking another one during the summer. So I did that, and then I guess this brings me to my grade 10 year. In grade 10, same kind of thing. I found that I had room to do an extra course or do some more work. So I decided to go back to my guidance counselor and I signed up for another online course. And I think I ended up starting this throughout my first semester. So instead of just doing online school in the summer, I was doing the online school during my semester, throughout the school year. And I didn't really find it too overwhelming or stressful. But, I mean, there definitely was moments where I would be sitting at my computer being oh, I've got so much work I have to do, or just annoyed and I had exams and stuff going on. And of course there was moments where I felt like that, but I think for the most part I could see the light at the end of the tunnel, and I knew that in my grade 12 year I would have a bunch of spares or just have less courses to worry about. And I knew if anything, school would only get harder. So I was at a point where I knew I could take on extra courses, so I might as well do it while I have the energy and I have the time. So I guess that was kind of my mindset going into it. So fast forward to grade 11. Grade 11 I found was the year when you really have to start planning out what you want to do for university or what you want to do post-secondary, because you have to get certain classes and like prerequisites. So I started to think about that a bit more, and I kind of ended up realizing that I only had like 4 more classes that I had to take on top of my grade 11 schedule to get me to complete high school. So it kind of got me thinking, and I think originally I was planning to maybe just be done a semester early or just like take a semester off kind of thing. Oh, and I don't know if I explained this already, but basically at my high school, there was 2 semesters, like one like September to January and then like January to June. And there was 4 classes in each semester. So each year you're supposed to be completing like 8 courses, ideally. I think that was what it was. So I realized, yeah, I only had 4 classes that I had to take on top of my grade 11 year. So I figured I would just graduate a semester early. So I was taking a look at the courses and what electives I was going to be choosing. And I think it ended up being that I was going to be staying back for like a gym class and an art class and a drama class. And I think that was like it. Maybe there was one other course. Maybe like family studies or like social science or something like that. But I kind of figured, did I want to stay back a whole year or a whole semester just to take those courses when I know I could be taking them right now, or I know I could be doing them online and doing just as well as I would be the next year kind of thing? So I talked to my guidance counselor a bit more, and we basically just kind of made a little plan to get me done high school in that year. It was kind of perfect timing as well because my family was planning on moving to the city, like to move here in Toronto. I used to live in a small town. So it just kind of all ended up working out perfectly, and my guidance counselor had never really encountered that situation before. Like, it's not common, at least at my high school, to graduate early. But we ended up making it work, and everyone was really helpful at getting my transcripts through and applying to universities and all that stuff. And it was kind of weird, I guess, in a sense, because like I said, my brother was a year older, so I ended up graduating in his like grade, like in his class. So it was kind of funny. Now I tell everyone that me and my brother Harrison are twins, even though we're not. But yeah, so it was kind of fun graduating with him, but he probably thought it was really weird. So yeah, that's how I ended up graduating high school early. I know I get a lot of questions about that. I know it can seem like a really ideal thing to do, like only have 3 years of high school, but I definitely want to like let you guys know that you shouldn't do that or plan to do that if you're not ready for that, or if that's too much work for you. It just ended up working out in my case. Don't just do it just because you want to be done high school. I also wanted to talk a little bit about post-secondary and university and college and all that stuff. I know when I was in grade like 10, 11, that's all everyone wanted to talk about. What is your plan? What do you want to do for university? What's your like route? What's your backup plan? All that stuff. And I never wanted to hear any of it. I found like talking about that and planning that out really overwhelming and stressful, and I just honestly didn't want to think about it. I knew that I didn't enjoy the courses in high school that much, so I wasn't really excited to go off to university and experience the same thing. And I don't know, I guess I just never could really see myself going for like 4 or 5 years to university. With that being said, I still ended up going to different universities and applying to different universities. I ended up applying for a lot of different arts programs and creative industries in different courses like that, which definitely would have been the type of program for me if I was to go to university, but I ended up deciding not to go. So basically, in my grade 11 year at the end, I did apply to all these universities. I was really fortunate enough to get accepted. I was lucky too to get some scholarships from some universities. So I think that was probably my main incentive. Oh my gosh, I can feel this face mask dripping down my face. I think that was my main, sorry, let me just wipe this down on my neck. I think that was my main incentive to go to university, because I was like, oh, I got a scholarship. All my teachers are saying I should go to university for this. And I don't know, I just felt like that was the thing we were told to do in school, like do well in school, then go to university, and then get a job. And I don't know, that's just kind of like the steps we were told to follow and complete for a happy life. I guess looking back on it, I wish I could have like told myself, don't worry what other people have to say, what they have to think about your choices. You make a decision that makes sense for you, and make a decision that you want to do and that you're going to be happy with, because it's your life at the end of the day, and it doesn't matter what your teacher thinks or what this person thinks or what that person thinks. It matters the most what you think, because you're going to be the one living with that choice. I know initially I was really overwhelmed with the idea that I could pick a certain program to go to university for, but what if I decided a couple years later that that wasn't the program for me, or that's not what I wanted to do in my life. That's not what I was interested in. And I just found that really like stressful, and I didn't want to make the wrong choice, and I didn't even know like who I was, let alone what I wanted to be when I grow up kind of thing. So I knew I wasn't ready to make that decision. So even though I was accepted to some universities, I ended up deferring my acceptance for the next year. So basically for like this September that just passed, September 2015, which I ended up not even going to, but I'll get there. So yeah, so I ended up deferring it, and I decided that I was going to take a gap year and take a year off just to kind of realize what I wanted to do. And like I said, we were moving to the city anyway, so I thought it would just be a nice year to just enjoy. I had worked so hard, I wanted to take some time off and just experience the city and have a good year off, I guess. So that was my plan originally, and I was going to go to university after my gap year to the program that I got accepted for. So that was the plan. And about 6 months into my gap year, so last December, I kind of realized that I had been putting this university thing off, and I always just kind of thought in the back of my head, oh, I'll deal with that later, who cares, I'll just think about that later, I'll plan that out later, I don't want to think about it right now kind of thing. So I think during my gap year, that was kind of my mindset. I was just kind of like, oh, I know I don't want to go to university, but at least I have a year off, I can enjoy this year, and then the next 4 years are gonna suck, and it's gonna be not what I wanted to do, but I don't have to think about that right now. That was my mindset, which was like the worst mindset ever, but that's just how I was. So I think it kind of hit me in December, so like 6 months into my gap year, that those past 6 months had flown by so quickly. I only had 6 more months of my gap year, and then I would be starting university and doing this program that I didn't want to do, and being in this school that I didn't want to do, and I couldn't see myself being in. So it just kind of hit me, and I was like, whoa, I need to like take control of my life and make sure I'm going into something that I want to pursue, not just because my teachers told me to do this or because someone told me to do this. I was just like, whoa, I need to figure out my life. So I ended up taking a tour of a makeup school that my mom had already showed me. I remember back when I was like in grade 9, my mom was like, this school would be perfect for you, I know it would, this is like everything that you're interested in. But when I was in grade 9, I was like, I don't want to talk about school, I'm in grade 9, I'm basically a baby, like don't talk to me about school kind of thing. It's so funny that she ended up being right, but moms always know. So I ended up taking a tour of that school, and as soon as I was there, like within the first 5 minutes, I was like, yeah, this is the school, this is the program for me, this is what I want to do. So I ended up going to a college. It was a private college that specialized in makeup. So I ended up going there for 6 months. The program that I took was a 6-month program. What's really unique about this school though is that you get like a 2-year college diploma out of it, because it's the same amount of hours as a 2-year program would be, but it was just condensed into a 6-month program. So basically what that means is that it was super long, intense hours of school, but it was done in 6 months. And that's totally like my style, like just go hard, get it done, do your thing. So I knew that I didn't want to be in school that long anyway, so when I found out that there was a 6-month program that could get me a diploma, I was like, yes, and the program seemed awesome and exactly what I wanted to do. Ugh, I'm dripping. The program at the school was really cool. It wasn't just how to make someone look pretty. It was a bit about fashion. We got to learn like the history behind fashion makeup, period makeup, all that type of stuff. We did a bit of hairstyling. We got to learn about special effects makeup, character breakdowns, all that stuff. We got to learn a bit about prosthetics and film and TV, theater makeup. We basically like covered it all in those 6 months. So I was lucky, and one of the program startup dates was actually in January. So in December, when I was freaking out and kind of having a mini midlife crisis, I decided that in January I was going to start this program. I was lucky too, since it was a 6-month program, it would be done before my university program was supposed to start. I decided that if this program didn't end up working out, and I decided after the 6 months that I still wanted to go to university, I still had that option, and I wasn't like closing that door completely. So it was nice that I still had university there, just in case I decided that that's what I wanted to do. Luckily though, I ended up loving the program, like I said, so I didn't even need to worry about university. So yeah, I basically ended up going to makeup school, and I ended up loving it, and I ended up declining my offer to the university because I knew that that wasn't what I wanted to take, and I was so happy with what I had already done. So yeah, that's basically, I guess, my story and my high school experience and post-secondary and all that stuff. I know my parents were like really supportive in all this. They didn't care what I did as long as I was choosing something that made me happy. but I think they're happy that I ended up getting a diploma and going away and finding something that I was passionate about, kind of thing. So it just kind of ended up working out. And I know, like, you hear people say it all the time, like, oh, you'll figure it all out in time, like, you'll realize one day what you want to do and it'll all come together. And I never really, like, believed in that. But yeah, one day it just kind of hit me and I was like, whoa, I'm not where I want to be. I'm not going to be doing what I want to do, so I need to change it, kind of thing. I guess kind of to sum it all up, I think that if you're feeling overwhelmed with, like, post-secondary or university or, like, what you want to do, I think you should try not to stress about it. I think pretty much everyone is going through this, like, dilemma in high school, trying to figure out who you are, trying to figure out what you want to be when you're older, all this stuff. It's super overwhelming, and that's just how it is. I don't think you should go into any program just because someone's telling you or someone's pushing you into that, or go into something that you're not passionate about just because you think that's the right thing to do. I think the most important thing is you need to realize that it's your life, it's your choices, and you need to do something that's going to make you happy. Because if you're doing something with a different motive of choosing a job that's going to make you tons of money, or doing something because your parents want you to do it, or because your teachers think you should do this, you're never going to end up being happy, and you're never going to be passionate about what you're doing if you don't make a decision and follow through with something that you want to do and with something that you love and that you're interested in. Whew, that was a pretty long little speech I had there. Yeah, so that is my 2 cents and all that stuff. I think you should ultimately make yourself happy. I think if you do have the time and the option is available to you to take a gap year and you know you're not ready to hop into university right away, maybe take a gap year and, like, discover things about yourself and learn your passions and just really take time for yourself for a year. I know the 6 months that I had off as, like, a mini half gap year, I guess, I know that those 6 months were really helpful for me, especially just, like, growing as a person and becoming more independent. I think I grew so much in those 6 months versus, like, my entire time at high school. So yeah, I think if you have the option and you want to do it, maybe take a gap year if that makes sense for you. But yeah, I think what you should do is make sure that you take the time and invest your time into looking into programs and courses, even though it can seem, like, boring or stressful or overwhelming. You need to know what's out there, and you need to at least start looking and start thinking about it if you are in high school, at least. I think you just kind of have to realize that this is going to be your future and you're literally paving the way for your life. So make sure that you invest the time into finding a program that makes sense for you, finding a school that makes sense for you, or finding, like, a job right out of high school. That's also an option too. So yeah, do your research. You'll really kick yourself in the butt, I think, if you look back 10 years down the road and you're like, wow, why couldn't I have just found this program or looked into this program a bit more? Really invest the time into yourself and into your future and into your career and into your life, because I think it'll all be worth it in the end, and I think you'll end up being a lot more happy and content with your choices if you really took the time to look at everything. If my mom is watching this right now, she's probably laughing at me because all the stuff that I just said was the things that she would say to me when I was in high school, and I never wanted to think about it and I didn't want to talk about it, kind of thing. So it's kind of ironic that I'm sitting here talking to you guys about this, even though I was the complete opposite when I was in high school. But I guess that's kind of my advice for you guys, because I know your initial reaction probably is that you don't want to think about it like me, but it's definitely important that you do, because this is your life and I'm sure that you want to make the best of it. So you might as well start now. So yeah, those are all my thoughts on high school and post-secondary and how I graduated early. I was really lucky in my case. Everything ended up working out. But of course there's moments of doubt and moments where I question myself and the choices that I made. I look at all my friends who are starting university now and they're having a blast and loving it. And sometimes I think, wait, should I have done that? Should I have just gone the more traditional route and just gone to university? But I know deep down I made the right choice. But yeah, of course there's times when I'm like, I don't know if I made the right choice. I'm not doing, like, the traditional thing. But yeah, that's okay. I think as long as you're happy and you know that you made the right choice, you don't need to worry about what other people are doing or what other people are saying. Of course there was times too when people were like, oh my god, you're not going to university? You're not going to do this? You're taking a year off? You're graduating early? And sometimes you can, like, let other people get to you and you're like, maybe this was the wrong choice. Maybe I'm not doing the right thing. But I think you just need to refocus and really listen to your heart and your brain and do what you want to do. So yeah, that was my whole spiel. I hope you could at least take something from this or learn from my experiences. But I definitely want to leave the comment sections open and leave it up for people to comment their experiences or questions or different pieces of advice from other people who have gone through post-secondary or gone through high school and have any 2 cents to add to this conversation. So definitely leave any comments or questions in the comment section below because I would love to have a discussion about it. But yeah, those are all my thoughts on high school and post-secondary. I hope that you enjoyed this video. And definitely give this video a thumbs up if you want to see more face masks with Jack. And maybe we can do like a different topic every time I do a different face mask. So I thought this would be a fun little video. Oh, I just realized I forgot to drink my tea. I had poured it already for the video. I was like, I'm gonna get all cozy in my PJs, put a face mask, throw my hair up, drink a nice hot cup of tea. And I forgot to drink that. Anyways. So I hope that you enjoyed this video, and I hope that this video was coherent and I wasn't rambling too much because I just kind of decided to turn on the camera and start speaking. So I hope that you enjoyed today's video. I know I had a lot of fun just sitting down and chatting with you guys. I think it's about time that I go rinse off this face mask because, good thing I planned ahead and put a towel down where I was sitting, otherwise I would have seriously regretted my life choices. What was I saying? I'm gonna go rinse off this face mask before it makes any more of a mess than it already has. But I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys soon. Bye!